wanted to do a little practice since we won't be together this weekend. And initially I had planned out a more energetic practice, but it got to be 4:45 on Friday, and I'm a little more in the mellow mood. So I hope you'll still like it. Our pose of the week this week is frog pose, mandukasana. Manduka is frog, and frog is a very intense and good stretch, but since we won't be quite doing as much flow, I wanted to modify a little bit, and we'll do half frog instead, and we'll do frog another time. So for tonight's practice, or whenever you're doing it, if you have a couple blocks, that's kind of handy. If you have a blanket, even though hopefully you're in your nice cozy house, that's great. And then if you have a bolster, and if you don't have a bolster, that's okay. There's a couple things you can do. You can use your blanket, or a couple of really sturdy towels, like beach towels, or you don't even need the blanket or the beach towels. So what we're going to do is set up for Supine Badakanasana, which is reclined bound angle. And if you have a strap. So I'll show you a couple options for this one to get set up. So for this pose, you'll have the two blocks, about 6 inches apart, and one at the top of your mat and one part way down. And if you don't have the bolster, you're gonna lie right down on the blocks. And to do that, you'll just have your the bottom block kind of at the bra strap, and then the top block you can arrange however you'd like. You can have it at the same height as the other block, or you can have different heights. So this kind of feels sort of nice actually, but do what feels good for you. And if you have the bolster and you want to use the bolster, then you can use the bolster, and you can put your bolster on your blocks. It just makes a little more comfortable place to rest. So I'm gonna just kind of keep them, I don't know if that's even on there, yeah. So there we go. And then if you have your strap, we'll use our strap, and if you don't, you guys all have straps, so I don't need to tell this part. So for this strap, go ahead and make the loop, and make it pretty big to start, and have the loop, the part that's like the clasp, if it's a yoga belt. If it's a different belt, don't worry about it. We're just gonna have this so it's near where you can grab onto. And we'll come into Badakanasana, so that's our butterfly pose. But you'll take the strap over your head, over your arms. So now it's just like around my waist. And then I'm gonna slide my ankles through the strap. You're gonna see what that looks like. And then I'm gonna scooch back, so I'm right next to the bolster, and I'm gonna start to lie back on the bolster. Now, if you have anything else for your arms, if you're on your bolster and you would rather have your arms supported, you can put little pillows under there, or again, if you're not on the bolster, you won't be this high up. So just allow your breath to settle. And especially if you're doing this in the evening, this is a really nice way to start practice. It's a very opening, obviously, posture, but also a little supported, right? And if you want more support, you can use your strap to tighten that belt, and that will give you a little bit more support on your knees. Another option is if this is too much on your knees and our hips, you can slide blocks under there. And just come into your breath, breathing in and out of your nose. Allowing whatever is in contact with the floor, the blocks, or the bolster to be points of letting go.
few more breaths here, just not even trying to control the breath or anything, just letting the breath be the focus. Allow your attention to come to the breath, sort of come into this moment. We'll stay for a couple more breath cycles. Just noticing any opening that's occurred so far. Notice any softening that might have occurred. And then if you have the strap around your feet, just slide one ankle up, and then so that you can come out of the strap. And roll over to one side, just enough to move the props out of the way. And then we'll come back onto our backs. And again, if you have the strap, just kind of get it out of the way. And then drawing your knees into your chest. And giving yourself that little back massage by circling your knees in one direction. Nice and slow, really feel kind of the four corners or 4 points of the sacrum, and then take it the other direction. And then we'll stay on our back, but with your feet staying together, your hands on your knees. Circle your knees out and then together. So you're kind of warming up the hips a little bit. Maybe 3 in one direction and 3 in the other. And then one more little kind of warm up here is with your knees together. You'll go ahead and just drop over to one side. And we're not going to stay there long. We're going to kind of do a flow. So you're going to open your knees and then draw them together as you roll to the other side, and your arm kind of follows. So you'll open your arm and your knees over to the other side. You just kind of rock back and forth, whatever way kind of works for you. I sort of like doing the arms and then the knees because it just sort of creates some momentum. This is totally effortless. When you're kind of even on both sides, the next time you're back in the center, stay there. And roll over onto your right side. And then using both hands, go ahead and press yourself up to a seated position. Just take your time, moving slowly. And then we're going to roll forward and come to all fours, and we'll do a little bit of cat-cow. So warming up through the spine. You can keep the toes curled under as you move into cow on the inhale. Uncurl the toes, press away from the earth into cat. And kind of just keep moving here. And maybe reconnecting with your breath. When the evening flows, you don't really have to move into your maximum. It's sort of just moving some of the energy through your body, letting go of the day. Or you can do this in the morning too, creating just a little bit of energy in your body. And then come on back to neutral spine. And we'll walk our feet back until you're in kneeling plank. So kneeling plank is your hips and shoulders are in one line. You're spreading the fingers wide. So even though this is an evening practice and a little gentler on your body, we still want to engage through our core, engage through the arms by pressing into the fingertips. Take an inhale here. And then as you exhale, we're going to slowly lower down, hugging the elbows in. Pressing the tops of the feet into the mat, we'll inhale to a mini cobra. And then press back to child's pose. You're just going to kind of move through that flow a couple times. So inhale all the way up into kneeling plank. Exhale all the way down. pressing into the tops of the feet, strong legs, draw up through the heart. Inhale, exhale, child's pose. And one more time, inhale through to kneeling plank, strong core, exhale all the way to the mat. Press into the tops of the feet, inhale, mini cobra, exhale, child's. And this time we'll just stay in child's pose. You can do child's pose any way you'd like. You can have your feet together and your knees wide, or I actually have right now, my ankles are parallel to my knees. And then just kind of let the forehead come into contact either with the mat, or if that doesn't work, use your block or stack your fists or your wrists so that your whole head can relax. Especially if it's the end of the day. And then just let there be a slight bend in the elbows. You can even let the forearms come to the mat. Take some of the energy out of the pose. Usually we're putting energy into our poses. Now we'll make it energetic. So fingertip walk the hands forward. Come up to just your fingertips. Find a long side body. And then as you inhale, come on back up to that kneeling plank. Draw strong into your core. Draw the shoulder blades back. Exhale all the way down. And we'll come to Sphinx Pose. So you'll have your elbows just slightly in front of your shoulders. We're gonna, again, press into the tops of the feet. Kind of lift through the belly without without tucking the tail. So just kind of get strong through the core. Press into the top, the forearms, and gaze maybe forward. So just notice if you're dropping your head, you can keep your gaze kind of neutral here. And we'll stay here for a few breaths. And just starting to open the front body a little bit more. Let there be that same softness in your face. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Now staying for 2 more breaths. And then exhaling all the way back down to the mat. Take your arms out wide if you have the room for it. And we'll do scorpion pose. So for scorpion pose, your forehead will stay on the mat. You'll start to lift your right leg up. Go ahead and bend your knee. This is like what we do in three-legged dog. Start to push your right heel towards your left. And then you can turn your head and look towards your right fingertips. So it's kind of like when we're in three-legged dog and we lift one leg and open the hip, same kind of thing. And then exhale, come on back down. Go ahead and take the other side. Might feel a nice release in your back. And then come on back down. And we'll go ahead and move into half a frog. This is kind of a nice little pose. So you're going to kind of slide this right knee up till it's about even with your hip. And then my foot is like a little frog foot. So I flex the toes. So I've got a right angle at my knee and a right angle at my ankle. And then I'm going to just start to release forward. And again, if your forehead will probably come to the mat, or you can rest it on your hands. Notice where you can like really soften into this hip. Probably at first there's a little bit of resistance there. Once we stay here for a few more breaths, you might start to feel that right hip kind of come a little closer to the mat. Every time you exhale, just notice any resistance and use the exhale to let go. Feel that right leg get heavy. And then slowly just start to move the right leg back down. Just kind of pause with both legs straight and maybe even shift your hips a little side to side. And resetting the spine a little, and then taking now the left leg, you kind of walk it up, walk the toes up. So the hip's about even with our knee is even with the hip. Flex your little frog foot. And release down. Find that relaxation in the hip. Let the exhale really draw the relaxation there. Couple more breaths here. Feeling the weight of the left leg releasing down to the floor. Let gravity kind of be your friend here. Allowing that left hip to soften and open. And go ahead and slide the left foot back down by the right foot. Give your hips a little shift back and forth. And then taking your hands alongside your shoulders, press it on back to child's pose. And if you've made this kind of a relaxing child's pose, make it a little more energetic. Fingertip walk the hands forward till you're up on your fingertips. Inhale back up to all fours. Kind of slide back like you're going to do that kneeling plank, but curl your toes under and then exhale and find down dog. So our down dog today, and really any day, can always have your knees bent a little bit or a lot. So it doesn't, take some of the effort out of the pose that you may maybe normally do. Unless you want a more energetic practice, you're welcome to do that. Let the head kind of drop. Let the hips lift. So even though my knees are bent, I'm still curling my tail up. Really lengthening through the spine. Pressing into the fingertips. So I'm still generating effort here, using effort in the pose without straight legs. And then on the next exhale, go ahead and just come forward and down to your knees. You can cross your feet at your ankles and just sit into a nice, comfortable seated position. If you're more comfortable sitting up on a blanket, you can always do that. From here, we're just going to do a nice gentle twist and a little more forward folds. So let's all cross our left ankle in front of our right. And then we'll take the left hand behind and the right hand on the left knee, and then inhale up and exhale and take a little twist. And again, it doesn't have to be like the biggest twist ever because you're probably not super warm. But if you are, like if you're doing this after maybe a walk or a run, you can certainly go deeper. And sometimes in the evening, it's just nice to do a little less. Again, just kind of welcoming some movement into the body. It would feel restorative, even though it's not technically a restorative practice. And then as you exhale partway over, you're going to start to walk the hands forward over that left knee. So you're getting a nice stretch probably in the right hip. Also lengthening all along the right side. Breathing here. And then start to walk your hands forward. Now they might be on the block, so you don't have to feel like you're have to extend. start to walk the hands back up. And we'll just go ahead and switch out the legs. So we start the second left. Taking the right arm behind and the left arm, left hand to the right knee. Inhale and lift up. Exhale. Twist. A couple more breaths here. And then unwind partway and start to walk your hands forward over your right knee. And softening here. Maybe noticing, for me, this is a tighter side. And start to walk your hands forward, and again, you can always use the block. Notice again where there's any resistance. Can you soften there? And then just walk the hands back on up. And go ahead and rock forward again into down dog. Just kind of release through the spine a little bit. You can even wag your tail, pedal your feet. Bending the knees, tilting the tail up, getting a lot of length through the spine and the back body. And then go ahead and start to walk your hands kind of towards your feet. And you're gonna, so it's like a short down dog. And then bending the right knee, go ahead and reach the left hand to the outside of the right leg. Now maybe it grabs the ankle or wherever. And then as you start to bend your right knee, just kind of start to peek under your right armpit. Still letting the head be heavy. Breathing here. Again, you don't have to go for a big, big stretch. Just kind of a nice gentle twist in a different little formation. And then we'll switch sides. So start to bend the left knee and take your left right hand to your outside of your left ankle. Notice if your hips shift all the way to the left, kind of shift them on back. Just kind of like thread the needle, which we'll do next. Sort of a variation here. I feel a little more on the outer hip. Just breathe with that. And release it, nothing too crazy. Come on back down to all fours. Let's just do a little cat-cow to rinse things out a little. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And let's go ahead and do thread the needle. Why not? So inhale, open through the right. Exhale, thread it on through. That's kind of always feel good at the end of the day to kind of open through the upper back where we carry a lot of tension. Notice again if your hips have shifted to the left, kind of drawn back to the right. Just breathe with this. And then go ahead and press into the left arm. Inhale and open it to the right. Set it back down. And then we'll take the second side. Inhale and open. Exhale, thread it on through. So on this, remember the hips stay high, so it's not like you're in child's pose. We're feeling the whole left side of the head on the floor. And from here again, press into the right arm, lift and open. Set it on back down. Let's do one more cat-cow. Inhale exhale. Inhale back to neutral. And walk your knees again so they're about halfway up your mat if they're not there already, and just come back down to a seated position. So we're going to do Gomukasana, and if you feel like that's just not going to work for you, then go ahead and stay in simple seated pose here. Otherwise, take your right knee under you, so it's kind of aiming forward, and then the left knee stacks on top, so stack your knees. And if this is uncomfortable for your bottom leg, you can also always have that bottom leg straight. And then from here, we're gonna just kind of have the ankles even with each other, sit up nice and tall, really root into your sit bones. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And then go ahead and just take one of your blocks and take it to the front. So you can start to walk your hands forward. So having the block there will make it a little more accessible than coming down to the mat, but if you can come to the mat, go ahead. And you can have the block at, all different levels. There are 3 anyway. Inhale and exhale. You can start to let your head drop a little bit. Maybe the forehead even comes to rest on the knees. Only if your anatomy is like that. Mine doesn't come to my knees. So nice softening in the hips. And slowly walking on up. And then we're going to do ardha or a little deeper twist. So as you tip back, tucking the right ankle under, and the left foot is going to stand tall, and you can just kind of first sit and hug that knee in. And again, this right leg can be extended straight. Taking your right arm behind, let's go ahead and really open through the side ribs. Oops, sorry, left hand's behind. Open through the side ribs, and exhale and take your twist. Inhale and exhale. Notice again, just be super aware of any times that you're efforting in the pose. I was just kind of really going for it. And you can kind of release from that. And just sort of do the pose. You still want to be aware of your body, so you're staying in a good posture, but you don't need to push, right? You don't need to effort it. And then keeping the legs the way they are, we'll take the reverse twist. I almost started doing first, which you could always do that one first too. Doesn't really matter. And then exhale and unwind it. And then we're just going to swap out our legs. So now the right knee is on top. And again, if the left leg needs to be straight, or you can come into Sukhasana, that easy pose. Where can you let go? And then if you want to begin to walk forward a little bit, you can use the block again. Kind of like using the block, it gives me a little more opening in my whole upper arms. And then start to walk it on back up. And again, we'll do ardha, half floor to the fishes. So tuck the left ankle in a little bit, step the right foot on the floor, taking the right arm behind, inhale and open. Exhale and take your twist. Every inhale, we lift it a little taller. Every exhale, we soften. Go ahead and unwind it. Inhale the right arm up,
Take the second side. Take another inhale. And exhale and slowly unwind it. Great job, you guys. So, we're going to come back down to the floor. So go ahead and keep your block handy. And we'll slowly release down to the floor. Again, if you want to keep less effort in the practice, you can take your knee with you. Or if you want to just generate a little bit of effort, you can slowly lower down. And then we'll set up for bridge, but we're going to do just one bridge and it's going to be supported. So take your block with you. Roll your shoulder blades underneath you. Feet are about hip distance apart, and then start to lift the hips off the mat, sliding the block under at maybe the medium level or the low level. Maybe we won't go super high if you normally do. And then again, that opening like we did at the very beginning with Supta Badakanasana, you might find you have a similar feeling. Letting the upper body just open, release. And the next breath, inhale, press into the feet, lift up off the block, and shift it down to the lowest level, unless it was already there. And then from here, we'll hug the right knee in, and then extend the left leg long. Now this will be a little intense on that hip flexor, so if it's too intense, you can keep the left leg bent. Or you can come off your block, actually. That would probably be better. And then go ahead and release the right leg and step both feet up like you were going to do bridge. So just sort of resettle. And then hug the left knee in. Extend the right leg long. And as this leg is extended long, notice it probably wants to turn out, like the toes want to go out. So we're going to draw down through the inner thigh so the toes come straight up to the sky. And release the left foot down, and again draw the right foot up, so kind of stabilizing. We'll move into Viparita Karani from here. So we'll extend the legs up to the sky. Maybe roll the shoulders under you a little bit. Hopefully this feels really good. Of course, since you're inside, if you want to actually take this legs up the wall, against the wall, feel free to do that. And as you're ready, just let the knees come back into the chest. Lower the feet one at a time to the floor, and then
Lift and slide the block out and replace the block with your hands, and we'll do a fish pose just to counteract. Pointing toes really hard. Bending your elbows, go ahead and look for your toes, and then start to kind of roll on up with the crown of the head, find the mat, and then slowly lower down. And we'll do one twist to end our practice. So taking your knees again bent, feet on the mat, lift and shift your hips a little bit to the right and extend the left leg long and draw the right knee across. Now if this means your right arm is like flying up in the air, you can do a couple things. You can place a block into your right arm, give it a little support, or you can just take your right hand next to your hip. Maybe the gaze even goes to the right. Can also go up to the center, whatever feels okay for your neck. And then drawing the gaze back to the center. If you are turned to one side, come back to center. And then lift and shift the hips to the left, extend the right leg long. Supine twist, left knee comes across. Breathing here again. Always, I should say. And even though this is a pretty releasing and relaxing pose, you still might find resistance, so notice where there is any. Let the breath release that part of your body. And then drawing your gaze back to the center, roll back to center. And just let your hands rest on your hips. Have this feel like it's drawing you into the earth, feeling the gravity of the gravitational pull of your body into the earth. And then go ahead and start to slide into Shavasana, taking your feet out towards the corners of your mat, grabbing your blanket, grabbing an eye pillow, whatever you might need. Let your body release. The final letting go. Letting go even of the attention to the breath. Noticing your thoughts, but just letting them come in and leave. No attachment. If you find your mind is distracting you, you can try repeating a little mantra to yourself. Maybe one of them is nowhere to go, no one to be, nothing to do. Let yourself have these next few moments to just be. actually just beginning to reawaken. Maybe with gentle movement to your fingers and toes. Deep inhale and an exhale through your mouth. One more inhale. Exhale through your mouth, maybe even with an audible sigh. And then drawing your knees into your chest one at a time, rolling over onto your right side. All the way onto your right arm, resting here. Using both hands, gently press yourself up. And find your comfortable seated position one more time. Maybe remaining with the eyes closed. Remaining connected to that inner peace and calm. Drawing your hands now to your heart center. And just bowing in gratitude for this practice. And to yourself. Making time for this healing practice today. Inhale, we'll draw our thumbs to our third eye. And exhaling, the light in me bows to the light in each of you. Namaste. So thank you for joining me on this YouTube channel. I hope you have a wonderful evening or rest of the day. Namaste.